This video is sponsored by a man yelling in a tunnel at night. What's up, losers? I'm sorry. So what with the whole wanting to lean into making vids on different games hoo-ha, I figured a good first step would be to actually give y'all an idea of what kind of nonsense you can expect here on this channel. A lot of you have expressed games that you want me to play, or more specifically games that you don't want me to play. So yes, I'm gonna become one of those guys that makes a top 10 list about my favorite games to help give you a basic idea of what you might see on this channel in future. By the way, I want you guys to also comment and let me know either games you'd like to see on the channel, or heck, even post your own top 10 list so I can see a game and go, oh dang it, I forgot that one. Now, like most top 10 lists on this site, I have a series of restrictive rules. Number 1, no multiple games from one series. Look, in some cases it was hard enough to even pick one game from a series, let alone try and cram 2 or 3 games from one franchise into a top 10 list. There's no room! Number 2, this list is Number 2, this list is not in any particular order. Again, it was hard enough to play favorites. I can't now play favorites with my favorites, that's favoritism. Number 3, this isn't really a rule, I just kind of wanted to say it, but just because a game is on the list does not mean I will make a video on it. Again, it's just to kind of give you an idea. However, I do reserve the right to make videos on any of these anyway. Number 4, some of the footage you see here will be footage from my collab channel, Same Industries, mainly due to the fact that I don't have the means of recording them on my own. Again, it's not a rule, but it's a thing, so it's in the list. And finally, number 5. There is no number 5, I just wanted to have 5 rules. Okay, no more messing around, guys. The fun stops here. I mean, starts. No, I don't. So is this a surprise to any of you? Like, no, I'm legit asking. I don't know if my love for Half-Life has been said a lot on this channel, except I guess my most popular video of all time. But anyway, I actually lied to you already, because it's not just Half-Life 2, it's Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Because by this point, everything was so refined and fun. The setting was new and exciting, you got fun and interesting characters and plot points, it's the good kush. At this point in the story there have been many twists and turns, but in my opinion the most interesting element of this whole game is the looming element of impending danger. It's filled with mysteries around every corner of which only give us more questions. The atmosphere is so refined at this point that even to this day, there are some genuinely bone-chilling moments that still gets me even to this day, even though I know it's coming. From the hunters, the advisors, and yes, of course, the G-Man, who we get to see take an interesting role as he actually starts to interact with the world and give us a tantalizing tease into the possibility of learning more about him. Oh, and also, as I said, it's got hunters, and what other Half-Life game has hunters? Half-Life 3? Yeah, I didn't think so. So I'm actually a huge Zelda fan, and I gotta tell you, it was hard to pick for this one. Well, actually it wasn't really, but I like a lot of Zelda. A lot. Majora's Mask, however, is something special. It was that special enigma of a game I got years after its release and had little to no knowledge on at the time. For me, it's the perfect blend of downright insane experimental ideas and off-brand story that makes this game just so unique. This is a game like many others on this list that I have 100%ed countless times and played in general countless times more. I honestly love it so much that I literally cannot get enough of it, okay? The colourful characters, the darker atmosphere, the unique story and world, and of course, something I've always been a huge sucker for, time travel mechanics. For some, this might have turned you off of the game, but for me, I think it might just be that extra little detail that just pushes this game over the edge to be, well, my favourite Zelda of all time. Hiya. So everybody's got their favourite Dark Souls, and for me, it's Bloodborne. You know all those people that bought a PS4 just for Bloodborne? Well, that was me. I think the number one thing that pushes this game over the other Souls-likes for me is honestly the gothic setting. I mean, medieval fantasy is great and all, but Victorian monster hunting? How could I say no? That plus the game slowly uncovers a story of not just wolfmen, but also freaking H.P. Lovecraft-inspired interdimensional beings. Oh, no. All of which is wrapped up in my favourite story in the Souls-like games of dumb people injecting freaking monster blood into their veins like heroin, causing the ultimate downfall of society. I love fun stories like that. But what's super cool is as the story progresses, the world
changes, and time actually passes with new and stronger enemies appearing as things get more and more demented story-wise. To the point where it gets literally demented as we enter Warp's literal nightmare worlds with incredibly creative and frightening creatures.
Hi, doggy.
Oh, and speaking of creatures, how could I forget these little dudes? Oh, and this game really stays true to its name alright, as yes indeed, it features lots and lots of blood that splatters the surroundings and even yourself most of the time. And let's not forget the combat. Say what you will about each Souls-like, but for me, the dodging and fast-paced gameplay is something I take over the slower-paced, shield-based gameplay kind of from Dark Souls any day of the week, personally. The dodging and the health regen mechanics makes this game so much more fast-paced, plus a variety of incredibly creative weapons. Oh, and also it's, well, it's Dark Souls with guns. Wow.
Bioshock games always appear to me to have a main base of people who love the games and a small subset of people who really don't care for them, and this especially goes for Infinite. Seriously, I've seen a fair few people rag on this game and I don't really get why. For me, this is the kind of game I boot up every couple of years and then always reminded why it's on this list. First off, I absolutely love the story. Is it pretentious as some people say? I don't know, I just think it's really cool. I love alternate universes and timeline theories and stories, and in Infinite it really takes these ideas to the next level and wraps the story up nicely in it, in my opinion. And I also love the characters, not just Elizabeth, although she's great and I really do love traveling around with her. Easily my favorite AI partner in any game, but also characters like the mysterious yet quirky Latouche twins, who remind me and act a little bit like G-Man. And we already know how I feel about G-Man. Oh, and I also adore the setting. A city in the sky? That's so cool! I love a constant feeling of vertigo. But seriously, some of my favorite moments in this game are the calm ones where I'm just walking around the city, taking in the sights and the world building. It's so calming and beautiful.
Oh no!
And if it wasn't for the whole segregation thing, I think I'd want to live here. But again, the city in the sky concept is so cool and creatively done. What with the sky rails and everything, which even ties into the combat, of which some people say has been downplayed in this game, which I really don't see either. You still got powers and guns and such. Some old powers return with new mechanics and some new ones as well. My favorite being the murder of crows, because literally what's cooler than commanding a murder of crows to murder people? Murder! Perhaps people have issues with the story taking center stage most of the game, but again, I honestly love it. I love the story in this game, and having the game so centered around it works really well for me, to be honest. Anyway, that's my TED Talk on why Bioshock Infinite is a pretty neat game.
Hi, doggy.
Borderlands is another huge series for me that I just adore. I loved Borderlands 1 with all my little heart could, and then Borderlands 2 came out, my heart grew 3 sizes that day just to accommodate all the love for it. This is one of those games where it almost burns me up inside to think I'm not doing my part to explain how much I adore it. I haven't made a ton of videos on it, except for a whole series on this channel on Borderlands 1 and a currently ongoing series on Borderlands 2 on my collab channel, Same Industries, oh, and also this video and also this comic, and possibly more I'm forgetting. Anyway, the point is I adore the Borderlands series, and especially Borderlands 2. Again, another game I have played and completed countless times, and as of writing this video, I have 2 separate ongoing playthroughs I've been getting through recently. I mean, what's not to love? The characters, the writing, the gameplay, the combat, the locations, the missions, the co-op, the skill trees, the DLC, it's all just amazing, and I want to emphasize that as much as possible. Oh, and look, I am not even going to bother going into this Borderlands 3 announcement. I just want you all to know I'm going to be there day one, and I'm going to be making videos on it no matter what, and you can't stop me, no matter how hard you try. I debated putting this here, but I'd be lying to myself if I didn't. Contrary to popular belief, I am not really a Sonic fan. I either dislike or hate most games, but I can't deny, I love Sonic Adventure 2, as does many people. There has been this thing going around recently that Sonic was never good, but I just can't agree to that, because no matter how many times I replay this game, I still find myself being charmed by it. And charm is honestly the best word for me, because yeah, it's got its flaws, yeah, it's dated in many ways, but I honestly wouldn't take it any other way, to be honest. Like many games on this list, I do really love the story, or rather, stories. The whole interweaving storylines is great, and I never get tired of it. And yeah, Sonic Adventure 1 had it as well, but in my opinion, that game is way more dated than this one. The story also takes on a darker theme, and I'm not just talking about you, alright? Later Sonic games are more cartoony, which is all fun and good, but I love the slightly darker atmosphere in this game. I mean, Eggman straight up thinks he's killed Sonic and thinks nothing of it. That's flippin' metal, dude. Oh, and also gameplay wise, yeah, it can be a bit jank, there's no denying that, but I honestly never really minded it. Call it years of playing this game, but nah. And I never minded the shooting or treasure hunting levels. Actually, they're some of my favorites. Just being able to fly around huge open levels is really fun. Plus, you get to listen to some dope ass music as you do. Oh, and also the soundtrack is an A+, don't at me. Oh golly, oh gee! Now if you've been following my Twitter for the last few months, you'll know that this is actually a new addition to this list. I borrowed Persona 5 from my friend out of a passing interest due to the art style, but within a week or so of playing it, I returned it to him, to buy my own copy. Because by then, it had already become one of my favorite games of all time. Yes, it gripped me that quickly. It is that good. What's interesting is I'm not really a JRPG guy, and yet this has managed to not only become one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, but also one of my favorite games of all time. And that's saying something, seriously. Honestly, I have so much to say about this game that I actually already wrote a script for a potential video on my thoughts on the game, so if you're interested in that, let me know. But for the meantime, I'll say this. Everything in this game is perfect and amazing to me, and the soundtrack is the best video game soundtrack I've ever heard. Don't at me. Oh, and apparently also Persona 5 Royal is a thing. Huh. Well, alright, here we go again. Here's the thing about Portal 2. Now, like most people, I played and adored Portal 1, and I'm not underestimating anything here by saying my hopes for Portal 2 were sky high. It was my most anticipated game of 2011 by far. I was so pumped for it, I even took the day off school to play it release day. In fact, if you were so curious, you could actually watch my first reactions to the game as I did a blind playthrough on it on this very channel, no less. Although I warn you, Hey guys, welcome to Portal 2. Oh my god, it's finally come out. Point is, my expectations were, pun intended, to the moon, which could never reasonably be met at that point. And yet, they were. They were exceeded even. Seriously, imagine having that happen to you, to have your expectations exceeded despite how high they were. I was ding dang diddly ecstatic. And because of this, for a really long time, I had considered Portal 2 to be my favorite game of all time. I'm sure most, if not all of you have played it, so I won't go into the nitty gritty of why I love it so much. Just know I love it all, and still come back to it every now and then to re-experience the magic of it over and over again. No, I'm not joking. No, seriously, Luigi's Mansion is one of my favorite games of all time, and if you don't agree with me, you can make your own list. This is my childhood game. This is a game I have completed more times than I can reasonably count to, on both the GameCube and even the recent 3DS remake. And not to brag or anything, but I can count pretty high. Here's a fun fact actually, while I was making this video, whenever I took a little lunch break from it, I would do another complete playthrough of the 3DS version. This is the pinnacle game of, I can never get enough of this, for me. I know it all off by heart. I've 100%ed it countless times. I once wrote a scrapped video on why the first area of the game is expertly crafted. That was a real thing, and I scrapped it because it was way too long to fit into a reasonably sized video. And you bet your stupid little ass I'm going to be getting Luigi's Mansion 3 day one. Don't even ask. Although I will say I don't like Luigi's Mansion 2, or Dark Moon depending on where you live, as much as 1, but it's still a good game, but 3 appears like it might be a mix between 2 and 1, and I just, nah! Like any top 10 list, here's a bunch of honorable mentions, of which are Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Meat Boy, Dark Souls, Uno, Banjo-Tooie, Sam & Max, Season 3, Psychonauts, and definitely way more I am forgetting. Also, as mentioned in the beginning of the video, this video is sponsored by a man yelling in a tunnel at night. Okay, so I had actually written like a whole segment in the script here with a bunch of jokes and like a little fake out pretending like, ooh, it's Overwatch or some stupid nonsense like that. No, look, it's Team Fortress 2, okay? Of course it's Team Fortress 2. What else was it gonna be, alright? I love Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 is my favorite game of all time, okay? My channel, literally up until this point, was exclusively Team Fortress 2 content, alright? I'm a pyro main, and I've been playing this game for literally close, if not slightly over maybe, 10 full years, okay? This game has been a huge part of my life. I've been playing it since early high school, and I'm still playing it to this day, okay? It's my #1 favorite game of all time, and I'm still making videos and content on it. I make animations for it, for goodness sake. What else do you want me to say? Huh? What do you want, like my opinion on the sharpened volcano fragment? It sucks! Okay? There you go, it sucks. I hate it. It's dumb and doesn't deserve to exist. Looks cool though. Anyway, that's it. Video's over.